my God. Thank you so much, Dr. Laura. I am so excited to be here with all you beautiful, honorable people, the people who actually work on with the refugees and actually the students themselves. It is my pleasure and my honor to be here with you guys. Okay. So that was quite a speech for me. Like I felt like, who the hell is this coming on? I didn't realize it was me. I was like, wow, am I that big? But what a journey it has been to get to where I am today, to get to be able to sit here and speak to all you beautiful people about my journey. It starts off with my parents. My parents are both Iraqi. My mom was actually exiled out of Iraq because of what was happening there. And my grandfather was very wealthy in Iraq, and certain people did not like that. So he was exiled without getting into government and all that stuff and politics. And my father fled Iraq. They both went to Kuwait. Both of my family came from wealthy families, and moving to Kuwait was kind of a shock for my mother's family. I mean, they were used to going, I mean, when you imagine Iraq, most people imagine a third world country, but my mom was used to flying off to Paris and to Milan and Amsterdam and Turkey. And I remember my grandma used to say, we had the first color TV on our block. And it was like a big shock for them when they moved to Kuwait with not much in their pockets. My mother met my father there, and not long, about a year or two after that, they had me, little old me. We lived there for about 2 years, and I don't remember much aside for little glimpses that I have, small little memories here and there. But then we moved to the US. We actually came to Tennessee first for about a couple months, almost a year, and then we moved to LA. So I've been a Los Angeles native pretty much my whole entire life. It's what I remember. It's all my memory. My life is here. And growing up here in the 80s was difficult. It was very difficult. My parents are the kind of people who do not want to acclimate. They did not want to become Americanized. To them, it was like we were kind of not forced to come here, but this is what happened to us. We could have wished we could have stayed in our country, like many of you that come from your countries, wherever it may be. Maybe it's Venezuela, maybe it's Cuba, maybe it's Iraq, Syria. A lot of you wish you could go back and live your lives there, but it's very difficult. So they came to America and they refused. They really held on to their traditions, which now, looking back at it, I thank them for that. So if any of you out there are like, oh my God, I wish my mom would just make me like a bologna sandwich for school instead of making me this weird ass like rice dish with this curry. Okay, you're going to miss that. When you look back at it in your 20s and your 30s, you're going to miss all that and be like, wow, my mom was really awesome to make that, because like those kids, it was sad. All their moms could make them with bologna and tomatoes and toast. I mean, come on. But yeah, so that was my parents, and they didn't want me to forget the traditions, and they didn't want me to forget the language. Hence, if you follow me on social media, I speak a lot of Arabic because of my family. My family really held on to their roots. And my mother and father would always say, if you speak to us in English, we don't understand. We don't know what English is. No, must speak in Arabic, must speak. So that's all we did. We just spoke in Arabic as kids. When I was about 8 years old, I chose to wear the hijab. I will say this again. I chose to wear this hijab. No one made me. It was a full-on thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to be like my mom and grandma and cousins and aunts. Like they were all wearing it. They all lived here. And so I wanted to be like them. But in the 80s, there wasn't a lot of Muslims here. There weren't a lot of refugees and immigrants that I could visibly see as refugees and immigrants like we do now. Now, you guys are so lucky, because to me, I feel like being an immigrant in the US now is powerful. It's it's a story that everybody wants to hear. Back in the 80s, nobody wanted to hear about your immigration story. Nobody cared. They just wanted you to be as Americanized as possible. And that's what they did to me. Wearing the headscarf, the hijab at school was very traumatic. I remember one time, excuse me for saying this, but I was sitting and eating a sandwich, and the women's bathroom was right behind me. This was in high school, and this was in the 90s. And I remember someone threw like a pad with like, I don't know if it was real blood or they put a marker on it, but they threw it into my food and they laughed. They would call me towel head. Of course, I was called terrorist. It's anything in the book, they would call me, and I never saw people like me. Never. Uh, and that was really hard. That was very difficult. I remember if we would be driving and I would see one woman with a headscarf, I'd be like, oh, Mom, look, it's a hijabi. Oh my God. It was like a big deal. It was a big deal. I know that not everyone here is Muslim, not everyone here wears a hijab, not everyone here is Arab, but it's always a big deal when you see somebody who you have this connection with. And it's so weird. Even though I've lived here my whole life, I still connect with these people, with being Muslim, being Arab, being Iraqi, being a refugee, being an immigrant. You still have this beautiful connection with them. It's amazing. But back then it was rare to see somebody. And I think that shaped me into who I am today. And I'm so grateful for it. TV. I love TV. Who doesn't love TV? I grew up watching TV. It was my life. It was the way I could escape and have fun. My parents were fairly strict, not like strict, yeah, not yelling, but they were like, no, you cannot go to your friend's house. We don't know this person. We don't know. So they were fairly strict. So I watched a lot of TV and I dreamt of being an actress one day. But look at me. Do I look like what you see on TV? Now, maybe a little more. Back then, back in the 80s and 90s, not much. You do not see a woman who looks like me. And we're not just talking about my hijab. We're talking about my size. We're talking about the way I look. We're talking about all of this. I want to see all of this represented on television. I wanted, like, how amazing would it have been to have opened up the television and be able to see someone who looks like me when I was 10 years old, who has confidence, who is just content and happy with who she is, no matter how she looks like. So that's what I did. I built my own life. I built my own story. And that's who I am today. I am, inshallah, I would say inshallah in Arabic. Hopefully my movie will come out on Netflix by the end of this year and next year. We've got a lot of other amazing stuff coming out. I've got my TikTok, my Instagram, which is ZAIN Comedy. But I want Joe Schmo in the middle of, I don't know, Texas, to open the television and see me and be like, what is she wearing on her head? And like educate himself. Who is she? Why does she look like that? Why does she look so different? And educate himself. And I'm so lucky, and you guys are so lucky to be able to live in a time and in a world and in a country that can let you live out that dream. Be that dream becoming an actress and stand-up comedian like I do right now. I do stand-up comedy as well. Or just being, I don't know, a veterinarian, or being a news anchor, or just being your true self, which I think is so hard for many immigrants to grapple with, because we look so different, because we feel so different, because we feel so sorry for ourselves all the time. Poor me, I live with this family. Poor me, I don't have this lifestyle. I'm not a Kardashian. I don't look like Paris Hilton. You don't need to. You do not need to. You simply have to love yourself and live your true life. Be who you want to be. Okay? If you want to be an actress, go out and do it. Go out and do it. If you want to be a stand-up comedian, just do it. Do it. Just get up there and do it. Like it's that easy. That's what I did. Am I going to say you're going to be hella successful? No, I'm not going to say you're going to be successful, but at least you can say I did it. I did it. I went on stage And I did like 3 minutes of stand-up comedy. Yeah, no one laughed, but I did it. Like, how impeccable and amazing is that? How, I don't know how to describe it. It's just it's overpowering. That's what it is, to be able to live your life and who you want to be. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, is just being your true selves, loving yourself. Don't let anyone get you down. I actually, a lot of people look at me differently because I'm a bigger girl. I am not a size 2 girl. Okay. I'm a bigger girl and I love it. I have a big nose and I love my nose. That's one thing. I think a lot of refugees, we come here and we try to look like, you know, Paris Hilton or the Kardashians, but look like yourself, look genuine, love who you are. And who gives a crap what anybody else thinks about you? Because honestly, everybody's just worried about themselves. The person that is talking bad about your nose is somebody who has issues with their nose, you know? And I always tell people, love your body, love your face, love your culture, love your traditions. And just don't even listen to what anybody else says, because it's really, you have to actually feel sad for these people that they cannot be happy with who they are. And yeah, so I hope that you guys, I don't know how long I have. Do I have a lot more left? Do I have any questions or
We have
anything?
lots of questions popping up here if you want me
Wonderful.
to questions. Oh my gosh, you're so inspiring and so,
Thank you.
yeah, just truly. Yeah, we have lots of questions. So let me share
Awesome.
one.
I'd love to answer some questions.
So the first one is about how you got into comedy. Was it something you studied formally? And did you have any struggles being a woman and being an immigrant and everything else in that field?
So no, I went to, I have 2 bachelor degrees and I went to grad school for English literature. I have a bachelor's in English lit and a bachelor's in English education. So, you know, I'm good there. And how I got into comedy was that I was always the funny girl. And it's something I always wanted to do. I didn't always, like, I wanted to do stand up, but I always wanted to do acting more. But I thought stand up was an easier way to get into acting. And it is, if anyone's interested in acting, but you're also funny, think about stand up. Um, and was it hard to get on there as an immigrant, as someone who looks different? Yes, it was. In the beginning, it was. But you will be surprised. Let me tell you guys, I have done shows for Arabs who look like me, and I have done shows for people who do not look like me, you know, westernized people. And I will tell you, I get most my criticism from Arabs because they're like, what? Who is this girl? How dare she just move out of the box and do what she wants? We live in this little box as refugees and immigrants. We're not allowed to, you know how, whereas the westernized people are like, damn, yeah, live your life, girl. Be who you want to be. Excel. Get up there. We got you. We got you. So it's, so that's why I do a lot of places like the Laugh Factory, the Improv. I don't do a lot of Arabic shows, but they are starting to be more open-minded. And I am going to take full credit for that. I take a lot of credit for that. I put myself out there. I get ridiculed. If you don't believe me, go on my TikTok and my Instagram, ZAIN Comedy. The amount of hate I get from my own people is insane, insane. But the amount of love, that's what pushes you forward. That's what makes you need, and that's what you have to remember is you need to change the narrative in this world, to change the way people view others. And this happened even when we had, think about it, something simple as slavery. When you think back at it, how could people have slaves just because they're a different color? How could that, to them, it was such a norm. But to us, we're like, wow, how could that be? Like how, like, I can't even fathom that. But people have to step up and make the change and show people, hey, just because I wear the headscarf, just because I look like this doesn't mean I can't sing and dance and have fun and act and do all that stuff. So yeah, okay. Did I even answer that question?
Totally answered it. I know we're so short on time, but I want to ask you 2 more if that's okay.
Go ahead.
The first one is, how do you handle being bullied for wearing a hijab or being bullied in general? What are some strategies you use to handle those situations?
So you know what's so funny is that they don't bother me at all. Sometimes I'll, I'm an actress, so I'll do like an actor. I'm like yelling at them, "How dare you say this to me?" But it doesn't bother me at all. You have to remember that these people don't know the real you. They're just behind a screen. What hurts me is if my friend that I've known for 10 years comes and attacks me. That would hurt me. I would be like, whoa, 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 what's going on? But someone that I don't even know in the middle of nowhere that's just filled with hate and with self loathing. I mean, that person must have such a sad life to like hate somebody who's just because they're dancing or just to hate and in general, you know? So yeah, it doesn't, I feel bad for those people. It doesn't hurt me at all. I'm stoned.
That's great. And then the final question, this program is to help refugees and immigrants become public speakers. So what advice do you have for a refugee or an immigrant who wants to speak about their experiences in public?
Do it. Pull the band-aid and do it. If you don't do something that scares you every day, then you're not living your life. Only things that scares, if something scares you, that means you're living your life. So public speaking, I know it's daunting, but only you can tell your story. Only you could change the world to the where what you want it to be. I want a little girl who looks like me to open the TV and see somebody that looks like her. That's what I want. So who has to change that narrative? Me. Let me tell you guys, the number one question I get all the time is, Zain, who inspired you? My number one answer always is, without like a second of thought, me. I inspired myself because I did this all on my own. You know, I spoke up for what I am, for who I am, and I'm proud of myself. And everybody should say that. I mean, I know we all want to be inspired by Maya Angelou and Oprah and Kim Kardashian, whoever you're inspired by. But the most important person in your life is yourself.
That's such a beautiful, beautiful message and a perfect
Thank you.
transition into our speeches for tonight. Saying you have more than set the tone for our evening, and we're so, so grateful that you're here. People are asking for your email, how to contact you. Everybody's so excited to connect with you, and Weave Tales is so grateful that you're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You guys, I check all my DMs. I don't think I'm superior than anybody else. I check every single DM on my Instagram. So feel free to follow me at ZAIN Comedy, ZAIN Comedy, one word, or in TikTok, ZAIN Comedy. And yeah, I can help you out there. I can answer your questions on Instagram.
Thank you so, so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.